Bullies slapped a disabled girl in a diner. An hour later, Bikers Walked In begins exactly where the first chapter ended. In the thick silence of the Coldridge night, with the fire crackling and four bikers staring down, three boys who thought the world was theirs to break. The road behind the bikers is dark and endless, and the sound of cooling engines mixes with the low hiss of the bonfire. Tommy, Reed, and Carl sit frozen. Their laughter is gone. They don't even try to hide the fear crawling up their throats. The leader of the bikers, the scar-faced man from the diner, steps forward. The firelight dances across the metal pins in his jacket, and the smell of gasoline and dust trails him like a shadow. He doesn't say a word for a long time. He just looks at them, one by one, the way a hunter studies a wounded animal. When he finally speaks, his voice is calm, gravelly, and quiet. "You boys had a busy day." No one answers. He continues. "Heard you met a girl down at Martha's place. She was sitting alone. You decided to play God with her." Tommy forces a shaky grin. "Hey, man, we didn't mean nothing. Just a joke." The biker takes a slow step closer. "You think hitting a crippled girl's a joke?" Reed stammers, "Look, we were just messing around." "Nobody got hurt." The leader's eyes harden. "Nobody got hurt?" He glances toward one of his crew, a heavy-set biker named Rook who spits on the ground. "She's got a bruise on her face the size of my hand," Rook mutters. That hurt looks real enough. Carl tries to laugh, but it dies in his throat. "We didn't know she was..." "Didn't know what?" The leader cuts in sharply. "Didn't know she was human?" The silence after that feels endless. The fire pops and sends sparks into the dark. The bikers stand still, shadows of judgment. Finally, the leader turns slightly toward his crew. "Take their bikes." Tommy steps forward. "Hey, man, you can't!" But before he can finish, Rook grabs him by the collar and slams him against a tree. The other two bikers, Cade and Boone, push Reed and Carl to the ground. Their movements are smooth, efficient, not angry, just deliberate. These are men who've seen real violence, who don't need to shout to make a point. The leader, his name now revealed is Harlan Cross, lights a cigarette. The glow flares against his scar. "I don't care where you boys came from," he says. "But I'll be damned if I ride past a place where a man raises his hand to a defenseless girl." Tommy coughs, struggling in Rook's grip. "We didn't mean it!" "She's just some..." Rook growls. "Finish that word, kid. I dare you." Harlan raises his hand slightly and Rook lets go. Tommy stumbles back, gasping. "You think you're men," Harlan says quietly. "But you ain't even boys. You're shadows. Empty, weak. You pick the smallest fight you can find and you call it strength." Tommy spits on the ground, trying to save face. "You don't know me." Harlan steps closer until they're nose to nose. "I know your kind." His voice drops low. "You were the same kind that used to laugh at me when I came back from the war. Limping, half broken, still bleeding inside. I know cowards when I see 'em." The firelight flickers across his face as he continues. "You got one chance to make this right. You go back to that diner. You apologize to that girl. And you pray she forgives you before I stop caring." Reed looks terrified. "And if we don't?" Harlan exhales a plume of smoke. "Then I teach you what pain feels like when it finds its home." The bikers mount their bikes again. Rook throws the bully's keys into the fire. Metal hisses as it melts. "An hour," Harlan says. "You got 1 hour to fix what you broke." Then the Iron Saints ride off, engines roaring through the desert night, leaving the boys trembling beside the burning fire. Meanwhile, back at the diner, Martha sits by the window watching the road. She hasn't gone home. Maggie sits beside her, a blanket over her shoulders. The bruise on her cheek looks darker under the diner lights, but her eyes are calm now, almost empty. Martha whispers, "Those men, I think they're trouble." Maggie shakes her head faintly. "They look like angels to me." The road outside hums faintly. Then headlights appear again, the same bikes. The Iron Saints pull up, parking in a row outside the diner. Harlan walks in first, quiet as a shadow. Martha tenses. He nods at her, polite but stern. "We talked to the boys," he says. "They're coming." Maggie looks down at her hands. "Why'd you do that?" she asks softly. "They'll just hurt someone else." Harlan studies her for a long moment. "Not tonight. Out on the road, Tommy drives his pickup truck with Reed and Carl beside him. His hands shake on the wheel. "This is insane," he mutters. "We go back there, we're dead." Reed swallows hard. "Man, they weren't bluffing. You saw their eyes. They'll find us if we don't," Carl whispers. "We just say sorry, right? Then we leave?" Tommy doesn't answer. The truck pulls up to the diner. The headlights wash over the Iron Saints bikes parked outside. The boys sit there for a moment, staring. Then Tommy opens the door. "Let's get this over with." When they step inside, the air feels heavier than before. Harlan and his crew sit at the counter. No one speaks. Maggie sits in her corner booth, same as before. Tommy approaches her slowly, his voice shaking. "Hey, look, we're sorry, all right? We didn't mean—" But he stops. Maggie isn't looking at him. She's looking straight ahead, past him, into nothing. Her hands tremble slightly on the table. Harlan's voice fills the silence. "Say it like you mean it." Tommy swallows hard. "I'm sorry," he says, louder this time. "We shouldn't have touched you." "It was wrong," Reed mumbles the same words. Carl just nods, tears welling up in his eyes. Maggie doesn't reply. She just whispers, "You can't unbreak something once it's broken." Tommy looks lost. "Look, we're sorry, okay? Can we go now?" Harlan stands. "Almost." He walks up behind them and places a hand on Tommy's shoulder. "There's one more thing." He turns Tommy toward Maggie. "You hit her with that hand, didn't you?" Tommy nods slowly. Harlan's voice lowers. "Then you use that same hand to make it right." Tommy frowns. "What do you mean?" Harlan steps closer, eyes hard. "You hit yourself. Right now. Till she says stop." Tommy stares at him in disbelief. "You're crazy." Rook leans forward. "Do it." Tommy hesitates. Then, out of pure fear, he slaps himself across the face. The sound is sharp. He does it again. And again, the diner is silent except for that awful rhythm. Maggie watches, tears filling her eyes. Finally, she says softly, "Stop." Tommy drops his hand, his cheek red, his pride gone. Harlan steps back. "Now get out of here! And if I ever hear you raised a hand to anyone again, I'll raise the earth to find you." The boys stumble out, broken, humiliated, but alive. When the door closes, the diner is quiet again. Harlan sits down across from Maggie. "They won't bother you anymore," he says. Maggie nods, voice trembling. "Why'd you help me?" Harlan stares out the window. "Once a girl saved me. Long time ago. I was the one broken then. Guess I'm just paying it forward." Martha pours him another cup of coffee. The rain starts falling outside, soft and steady, washing the dust off the Iron Saints' bikes. Maggie finally smiles, a small, tired smile. "Thank you." Harlan tips his hat slightly. "Keep that smile, kid. It's stronger than any of us." The next morning, the sun rises over Coldridge, and the town feels different. Word spreads about what happened, how the Iron Saints came in the night, how Justice rode in on 4 bikes. The Bullies don't show their faces again. Some say they left town. Others say they stayed, quiet, or changed. Martha's place becomes a kind of legend. Travelers stop there just to hear the story. They say a scarred biker and his crew once walked in and turned fear into respect. And Maggie? She keeps coming to the diner, sketching on napkins. But now she smiles at strangers, and people smile back. As for Harlan and his crew, they ride out at dawn, engines roaring through the desert. Before leaving, Harlan looks back once, the diner glowing in the sunlight, and mutters to himself, "One less shadow in the world." Then they disappear down the road, dust rising behind them like smoke from an old memory. Lonely western town named Coldridge, a place that looks like time itself forgot it existed. The wind drags dust through the cracked wooden streets, and the sound of a rattling signboard is the only thing breaking the silence. It's late afternoon, that hour when the sun burns low and turns everything gold, but there's no beauty in it, just heat and emptiness. The main road leads to a small, rundown diner called Martha's Place. That's where everything begins. Inside the diner, things are slow and tired. The jukebox hums an old song about whiskey and heartbreak, a tune so old that even the machine seems bored of it. The smell of frying bacon, burnt coffee, and dust fill the air. Behind the counter stands Martha, the owner, a woman in her late 50s with hair the color of ash and eyes that have seen too many people break and too few mend. She wipes the counter out of habit not because it's dirty, but because that's what she's always done to pass time. In the farthest corner booth sits Maggie, a 17-year-old girl with dark hair and quiet eyes. Her thin fingers are wrapped around a chipped coffee mug. There's a steel brace on her left leg, and every time she shifts, it makes a soft clicking sound, a reminder of the accident that left her half-disabled when she was a child. Her father was a miner who died when a tunnel collapsed near Black Ridge Hill, and her mother has been sick ever since. Maggie spends her afternoons in that booth, sketching little things on napkins, flowers, birds, sometimes faces she's seen only once in passing. She doesn't talk much. She never did. Everyone in town knows her. They don't hate her. They just don't care enough to notice her anymore. Coldridge isn't a kind place. It's the kind of town that feeds on other people's pain just to make itself feel alive. As the sun bleeds into the horizon, the diner door opens with a sharp bell ring. The kind of sound that cuts through everything. In walk three boys, Tommy Hale, Reed Collins, and Carl Denton, high school seniors with cigarettes behind their ears and trouble in their veins. They're dressed in old leather jackets, the kind that look stolen from someone tougher than them. They laugh too loud, walk too confident, like the world owes them attention. Martha's shoulders tighten the moment she sees them. "Not again," she mutters under her breath. These boys have a reputation, small-town kings who rule by fear. Their parents are rich enough to buy silence, and their teachers too tired to fight back. Tommy, the leader, spots Maggie instantly. "Well, look who it is," he sneers. "Our little tin girl." Maggie doesn't look up. She's used to this. Reed elbows Carl and says, "She got new screws yet? Maybe we should check." They all laugh, the kind of laughter that makes your skin crawl. Martha walks over quickly. "Boys, you leave her be. You want something, order it or get out." Tommy turns to her slowly, his smirk dripping with arrogance. "Relax, Martha. We're just saying hi." He slides onto the stool near the counter, but his eyes never leave Maggie. Minutes pass like hours. The jukebox keeps humming, but the tension grows heavier. Then Tommy stands up, walks toward Maggie's booth, and leans down. "Hey, you hear me, metal leg?" he says softly. Maggie stares at the table. He chuckles. Maybe she needs help listening. Before anyone can react, he snatches the mug from her hand and spills the coffee across the table, hot liquid splashing over her hands. Maggie gasps quietly, pulling back, but she still doesn't look up. Reed and Carl burst out laughing, and the sound fills the diner like a gunshot. Martha shouts, "That's enough!" But Tommy doesn't stop. He grabs Maggie by the chin and lifts her face, his voice turning cruel. "Look at me when I talk to you!" Maggie's lips tremble. A tear rolls down her cheek. That's when Tommy slaps her, hard. The sound echoes through the diner, louder than anything. Even the jukebox stops playing, the needles scratching in silence. For a long second, no one moves. Martha stands frozen. The cook, a quiet man named Earl, steps out from the kitchen, holding a spatula like a weapon, but Tommy glares at him, and Earl hesitates. Tommy smiles, cold and satisfied, then lets go of Maggie's chin. "Next time you answer," he says and walks away. Reed and Carl follow him, laughing, kicking open the diner door. Dust and wind rush in as their laughter fades into the evening. Martha hurries to Maggie's side. "Oh, honey." "You all right?" Maggie's eyes are blank. She doesn't speak. She just sits there, tears falling silently onto the table. Martha wipes the spilled coffee and whispers, "Don't mind them. They're just cowards," but Maggie doesn't respond. Her face is red where the slap landed, and her brace clicks softly as she shifts in her seat. Outside, the sound of motorcycles fades away. The sun disappears completely, leaving the diner bathed in the flickering glow of a broken neon sign that reads, "Open." An hour passes. The world outside turns black. Inside, Martha tries to bring things back to normal, but the air feels heavy. The few customers who witnessed it left quietly, not wanting to get involved. Maggie stays where she is, staring out the window at nothing. Then the bell above the diner door rings again. 4 men walk in. Big men. Rough men. Bikers. The kind of men who carry the road with them. Leather jackets, boots covered in dust, beards hiding old scars. Their bikes outside still rumble softly like thunder waiting to break loose. The leader walks in last, tall, broad-shouldered, with a long coat and a scar running from his left eyebrow down to his jaw. His eyes are cold, not cruel, but dangerous, the kind of eyes that have seen war. His jacket reads Iron Saints. The room goes silent. Martha freezes mid-step, the coffee pot trembling slightly in her hand. The leader's gaze sweeps the diner, the broken mug, the scattered napkins, and finally Maggie, sitting quietly in the corner, face swollen from the slap. He looks at her for a long time, then speaks in a low voice that cuts through the silence. Who did this? No one answers. The only sound is the buzzing of the neon light outside. Martha's lips part, but fear keeps her still. The leader walks closer to Maggie's booth, kneels slightly, and looks her in the eyes. Who? He asks again, softer this time. Maggie's lips tremble, but she doesn't speak. She doesn't have to. The bruise speaks loud enough. Martha finally whispers, 3 boys, locals, left an hour ago. They hurt her. The leader stands up slowly, jaw tightening. He turns to his crew, 3 other men with the same iron look of loyalty and violence under control. Finish your coffee, he says, voice calm but heavy. We got work to do. One of them chuckles. What kind of work, boss? The leader looks toward the window, where the night stretches out like a dark ocean, the kind that puts fear back where it belongs. The bikers sit down at the counter, order black coffee, and wait. None of them speak. Their silence feels like a storm building. Martha pours their cups with shaking hands. Maggie watches them quietly, eyes wide but curious. Outside, thunder rumbles somewhere far away, rolling across the hills. The Iron Saints drink their coffee, finish it, and rise in unison. The leader places a few crumpled bills on the counter, more than enough to pay for everyone's meal. Then he nods once to Martha. Lock up, he says. They step out into the night. Their engines roar to life, the sound shaking the diner windows. Maggie stares after them, the first spark of something, maybe hope, flickering in her eyes. Martha sighs, pulling the blinds shut. Lord help those boys, she whispers. Far down the road, in a clearing near the woods, the 3 bullies sit around a bonfire, passing a bottle between them, bragging about what they did. Reed laughs, saying, You should have seen her face, like she was gonna cry. Carl adds, Ain't nobody gonna do nothing. She's just some cripple girl. Tommy grins, looking at the stars. World's full of people like her, made to remind us how strong we are. They laugh again. But then, in the distance, they hear something, faint at first, then growing louder. The sound of engines, 4 of them. Slow, steady, coming closer. Tommy frowns. You hear that? Reed squints down the road. Probably someone passing through. But the sound doesn't fade. It grows heavier, deeper, like a heartbeat. Then headlights cut through the darkness, slicing across the trees. 4 massive bikes roll into view, their chrome gleaming in the firelight. The boys fall silent. The bikers stop their engines. Dust swirls around them. The leader steps off his bike, eyes locked on Tommy and his friends. The fire crackles between them, orange light dancing across his scarred face. No words are spoken. Not yet. The boys don't even realize that justice has already arrived.